Full control without escalation. That's how officials describe what happened before sunrise when U.S. forces surrounded a Panama-flagged tanker carrying Venezuelan crude. No broadcast, no missiles, just tight timing, a helicopter insertion, and the bridge secured in minutes. Then they did it again soon after, signaling a deliberate campaign. Why move from paper sanctions to on-water enforcement? And how does a pre-dawn timeline reshape the risk calculus for insurers, brokers, and shipowners? We'll map the choreography and reveal the quiet pressure this puts on Venezuela's economy and distant buyers who thought they were out of reach. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Why does a helicopter drop a Coast Guard team on a Panama-flagged tanker minutes before sunrise with no radio call, no lights, and no public notice? Because at 5:20 a.m., the sea is quiet. Crews run on low alert, and one fast move can settle the entire ship before anyone decides to resist. The clock starts in the dark. Two Navy hulls throttle back on converging vectors and settle into a loose ring a few cables off the tanker's beam and stern. A third ship lingers farther out to manage radar tracks and deconflict traffic. The helo hovers at offset altitude, holding downwind to muffle approach noise. Deck lights on the target stay normal. The AIS pings as if nothing is wrong, and no one on the bridge hears a warning. The boarding element stacks by the door, harnessed, visors down, hands on lines. Up top, the aircrew checks rotor wash angles so they don't tangle with antennas or rigging. Below, Navy small boats idle with bows pointed at the tanker's quarter, waiting for a signal to close the gap. Here's the rub. The ship isn't on a public sanctions list. That kills any idea this is a routine inspection. The legal lane comes from a mix of authorities: flag state consent, cargo end-use concerns, and standing maritime interdiction orders that activate when certain risk indicators stack up. The tactical lane is clean. U.S. Navy secures the water. Coast Guard brings the law and the boarding playbook. The target's paperwork might look fine at first glance, but routing, chartering, and cargo signatures tell a different story when fused with intelligence. That fusion is what makes a pre-dawn knock lawful and fast. The approach favors speed and control. Navy craft box the tanker's drift and choke off sea room. One RHIB holds to port, another to starboard, both angled to spoil any hard turn. A third shadows the stern to block a kick-ahead escape. On the radio, silence. The helo slides in. If the deck is clear, the team fast ropes to the main center line. If cluttered, they hoist to a cleaner lane near the superstructure. Ladder teams stand by on the RHIBS to climb if the helo wave-off happens. The goal is redundancy. 2 paths up, 1 plan. Contact happens at once. Team 1 darts for the bridge, clearing stairwells and corners. Team 2 splits to the comms rack and engine console, hands ready to safe the telegraph and lock the ECDIS inputs. Team 3 matches eyes to hands, moving crew to a muster point, palms up, no quick motions. Engine room gets a hold order through internal comms. Steering locks at midships until confirmed. No shouting beyond commands. No display beyond what keeps heart slow and knees still. Next comes isolation. SATCOM units get covered or disconnected. AIS transmissions are checked against logs and left on if safe to avoid traffic confusion. The captain gets a short brief. Safety first, cooperate. No one gets hurt, the ship stays stable. Engineers verify cooling and lube oil flows so a sudden shutdown doesn't wreck machinery. The helm remains engaged but under instruction. A search team notes cargo valves and manifold status to prevent pressure spikes. The phone tree that usually starts in a crisis never gets a chance. Control takes minutes because the choreography trades shock for speed. The crew sees order, not chaos, and compliance beats fear. No shots, no fire hoses. No flares. A live cargo of Venezuelan crude sits under U.S. custody before sunrise, and the watch officer keeps breathing at a normal rate. If one quiet strike can lock a supertanker in the gray light, repeat it twice and let insurers and brokers watch in real time. The next decision isn't on the bridge. It's in an office where routes get redrawn and risk gets priced before the sun comes up. Less than 2 weeks later, another tanker went quiet at dawn. Same hour, same choreography, different hull and route. Coincidence, or a message to every ship moving Venezuelan crude that the window for gray voyages just narrowed? The helo came in low again. The Navy ring closed, and the boarding team hit the ladder and bridge with the same tempo. This wasn't improvisation. It read like a deliberate echo, the kind of repeat that tells operators and owners the first event was not a one-off. Reuters and the Associated Press described the repetition and the planned feel of the action. noting the same calm staging and the same fast wrap before the rest of the world had coffee. Here's where the stress lands. If the first hull wasn't on a published list, then where is the line now? Compliance teams live by posted rules, forms, and approvals, but the sea runs on judgment calls under time pressure. Charter contracts include sanctions clauses that look clean on paper. Then a route, a broker string, and a cargo origin come together in a way that flips a light from yellow to red. With a second boarding using the same quiet steps, the signal becomes hard to ignore. The enforcement isn't waiting for a PDF update. It's meeting the ship in motion. Analysts reading the traffic say pattern equals policy. 2 strikes set the floor. Call it graduated coercion, pressure that adapts in real time, using risk scoring over static lists. Presence becomes the enforcement. Hulls and helos do what memos can't. That shift matters because it doesn't need headlines to work. It needs repetition and predictability to the operators who feel it. The authorities can dial it up or ease off without a press conference, and everyone in the chain learns to factor in the chance of a dawn interruption. The second tanker's routing pointed west. Cargo likely bound for Asia, with China in the rumor mill. A mid-journey stop proves reach beyond flags and brokers. Geography becomes a weak defense when the boarding comes on the open ocean. That's the edge of this playbook. You can be a week from discharge, far from Venezuelan waters, and still find a Coast Guard team on your ladder. The message travels faster than the ship. Markets react to uncertainty first. Insurers lift premiums or carve out exclusions until they can price the risk. Underwriters start asking for additional documentation and longer lead times. A few pull back from the lane entirely. Brokers feel it in slippage and slower fixtures. Owners see day rates rise for routes that touch certain origins or transshipment points. A captain's chart doesn't show it, but the cost line bends all the same. When insurance thins, voyages stall. When voyages stall, traders miss windows and pay more to cover gaps. For Venezuela, this is a pressure point that cuts deep. Oil drives roughly 4/5 of export revenue. According to long-running data cited by AP, delay a cargo and you squeeze imports, public salaries, and the currency. You don't need an airstrike to raise macro stress. You need a handful of dawn boardings that turn schedules into guesses.